the biomechanics, physics, and geometries of the planet's best athletes as they try to bring home the World Cup. First up, let's examine the penalty kick. Some people believe the hardest thing to do in sports is to hit Major League pitching. But how does that compare to stopping an elite penalty kick, like in the World Cup? To break down the differences in these two challenges, we enlisted two-time MLS Goalkeeper of the Year, Zach Thornton. The penalty kicker is trying to get the ball past him into a strike zone that measures 24 feet wide by 8 feet high, 192 square feet. That's bigger than a cargo container.
I'm recording video.
And over 50 times larger than the average Major League strike zone. Our high-speed video reveals that with one step in any direction, Zach can stretch his 6'3" body to make contact with the ball fired to every part of the goal. But here's the difficulty. Like in baseball, it's not the area the player has to protect. The problem is time. A 90-mile-an-hour fastball reaches home plate in about 440 milliseconds. But a 70-mile-per-hour shot from the penalty spot reaches the top corner 39 feet away in only 400 milliseconds. Over 9% faster than the fastball reaches home. And every one of those milliseconds counts. When the ball is kicked, it takes the human brain about 100 milliseconds just to process the visual data coming into the eyes. By now, the ball has already traveled over 10 feet. While the brain takes another 100 milliseconds to decide where to dive and activate the proper muscles, the ball has traveled another 9 feet. And it's already halfway to the goal. But while it takes a batter only 150 milliseconds to swing his bat, Zach needs 730 milliseconds to get to a ball at the post. And if we add up those numbers, 100 milliseconds to spot the ball, 100 milliseconds to fire the right muscles, and almost 3/4 of a second to actually dive, it means that if a keeper waits to move until the instant the ball is kicked, stopping a well-struck penalty kick that arrives in only 4/10 of a second is physically and mathematically impossible. Which is why goalies have to guess which way a player is shooting. Worldwide statistics show that the goalies guess the direction correctly 57% of the time. But that doesn't mean he makes the save, because he still has to guess, should he dive low or high? The geometry indicates that stopping a penalty kick should be harder than hitting a baseball. And the stats back it up. Last year, the batting average for all of the majors was .258. Call it 26%. But the annual worldwide percentage of penalty kicks stopped by pro goalies only averages around 22%. And here's one more thing for goalies to consider. The final of the World Cup will be played at Johannesburg at an elevation of over 5,700 feet. In the thin air at that altitude, balls will travel 5% faster than at sea level.
Well,